Free falling, the stock market takes a beating. What's next? In today's cover story, why investors are uneasy with Silicon Valley's latest change at the top. Plus, the entrepreneur who has turned her passion for food into a tasty brand. And ahead of critical earnings, the guys tell us which banks they would buy in Traders Unplugged. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning. I'm Angela Miles. It's Friday, October the 10th. In today's First Look, stock market wipeout. The biggest Dow rally of the year Wednesday was followed Thursday with the largest one-day plunge of the year. It's now the fourth time in 2014 the blue chips lost 300 points in a single session. The rest of the market also a downer. The Nasdaq fell 91 points while the S&P had a 41-point spill. Among commodities, gold shot up $18 and oil dropped $2.12. Symantec reveals plans to split into two publicly traded companies. Shares rose 2% after the close. Amazon will reportedly open its first brick and mortar store on 34th Street in Manhattan in time for holiday shopping. And Alibaba has new appeal. The mega e-commerce company is investing $50 million in the Peel Smart Remote app. The app is by a California startup. It turns smartphones and tablets into remote controls for TVs and appliances. Well, the market could be in store for another wild session. Joining us now is Mark Sebastian. Mark, what do you think? How serious was that sell-off yesterday?
Well, you know, it's been a really volatile week with three more than 1% moves in 3 consecutive days, 2% move yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some bottom feeding today, some people looking to try and get into stocks, where I think if we're going to test that 200-day moving average, which is around 1903, that's a really key level. I think we could see that on Monday, which is traditionally the worst day of the week.
The stock market sell-off also triggered big moves in bonds and the commodities. Let's start by taking a look at those yields. What do you think here?
Boy, bonds are getting pretty pricey right now. I'm not sure that I'd be jumping into bonds at this point. I think that ship has sailed. You know, could they make a run at maybe 2.25 yield for the 10-year? Maybe, but I don't think there's as much upside as there was last week.
Among other market movers yesterday, the Ebola stocks such as Lakeland, which has hazmat suits, was really moving.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ebola stocks are an interesting trade. I'm not sure they're a great investment.
That's a lot of hot money happening. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Chuck Coppola steps in now. Good morning, Chuck.
Angie, no let up in cyber fears. Fidelity Investments is the latest victim of a massive cyber crime scheme. Fidelity says we have no indication that any Fidelity customer sites, accounts, information, services, or systems were affected by this matter, but it's believed that the breach was executed by the same group that hacked J.P. Morgan in July, compromising 76 million households. The Secret Service and FBI are investigating hackings of 13 financial firms.
Citigroup and Wells Fargo are in the penalty box. Citi is returning $16 million to customers who allegedly were overcharged through sneaky advisor fees tacked onto the bills. Wells Fargo has reached a $5 million settlement with the government over allegations of discriminating against women who were pregnant.
Red Bull is handing out refunds. Customers filed a lawsuit complaining that Red Bull does not give you wings, which is one of the company's catchphrases. So, for the wingless, here's how to get your cut of the settlement if you have bought Red Bull within the past 12 years. Email energydrinksettlement@gcginc.com or fax 844-553-1373 no later than March 2nd, 2015. Red Bull is issuing $10 in cash or $15 worth of Red Bull. Initially, the website was overwhelmed. And once 1.3 million people have applied, payouts will likely be less until the $13 million cap has been exhausted.
In China, workers walked off the job at a Foxconn plant demanding better pay. 1,000 employees assembling printers and computers for Hewlett-Packard and other tech companies went on strike for several hours this week. Workers contend management is continuously increasing production volumes while reducing overtime hours. The Wall Street Journal reports HP faces growing competition from China's Lenovo Group.
Operations at Foxconn are also reportedly being disrupted due to high demand for Apple products. The Wall Street Journal reports that the supplier delayed plans for a new iPad as it struggles to meet high demand for new iPhones. The success of Apple's iPhones is prompting speculation from Carl Icahn now. The billionaire investor says Apple's stock is massively undervalued, and he's pushing the company to buy back more shares. He claims Apple shares should be worth $203. Shares traded last at $101. Also, Apple says it will host an event October 16th. Analysts expect a new lineup of Mac computers.
Sony has a new X Factor. The company unveiled its flagship smartphone Xperia Z3 Thursday. The phone is waterproof, and to prove it, the device was dunked in a fish tank at the launch. PlayStation 4 users will be able to live stream games on the smartphone. Xperia will be available in late October. Sony stock sank 3% on Thursday.
In today's cover story, Advanced Micro Devices, long Silicon Valley's second banana to Intel in microprocessors, is making a change at the top. Lisa Su, AMD's chief operating officer with a PhD in electrical engineering from MIT and more than a dozen years at IBM, becomes the first woman to lead AMD. Despite those qualifications, the timing has made investors nervous. Advanced Micro Devices made the switch to Lisa Su a week before AMD announces its third quarter earnings. The timing led Wedbush Securities to downgrade AMD to neutral and cut its target price from $6 down to $3. Bank of America Merrill Lynch rated AMD at underperform, saying we can only assume weak results and guidance and possibly further restructuring actions in the core PC graphics business, which accounts for approximately 70% of sales. But tech analyst Rob Enderle disagrees.
You know, I've talked to AMD about the earnings and this change, and they've been adamant about the fact that this had nothing to do with earnings. They're in a blackout period, though, and certainly if it had been me, I would have done this announcement after the earnings so they could actually talk about the numbers.
That blackout may explain why Sue was vague about AMD's future direction in this handout video released after her promotion.
I want us to be simpler and faster. We have incredibly smart people. They're very, very talented. They know what needs to be done.
For the last 3 years, AMD's CEO was Rory Reid, a turnaround specialist who cut operating costs 30% and began AMD's transition from heavy dependency on sales of PCs and game consoles. The chipmaker has refocused on servers, tablets, and cloud applications.
When you're talking about a company that sells an engineering product, no, AMD doesn't sell iPhones. They don't sell PCs. They sell processors. And when you're in that kind of a company, you're typically better led by an engineer because that's where the expertise resides.
AMD dropped 10% yesterday to close at $2.95. It's been under $5 for more than 2 years.
A management change is also happening at Munchie's company, Mondelez. Brian Gladden takes over as chief financial officer next week. He previously worked at Dell. Mondelez, a spinoff of Kraft, makes Oreos and Triscuits. Mondelez is in a reconstruction phase as the company focuses now on cost cutting and its snack business.
Snacks are where it's at for PepsiCo. The producer of soda, Doritos, and Fritos had a surprising third quarter earnings and revenue pop led by snack sales. PepsiCo is now raising its full-year growth forecast for the year, despite macroeconomic challenges. Recently, activist investor Nelson Peltz of Trian Fund Management pushed for PepsiCo to split its snack and soda divisions. PepsiCo shares traded last at $93.57.
Bumper crops this harvest season are driving down food prices. Prices are falling for sugar, dairy, and cereal worldwide, while the cost of meat is stabilizing. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization also reports world wheat production this year will reach a new record. However, because of the Ebola virus outbreak in West Africa, there are concerns about disruptions in farming.
Restaurant chain Dave & Buster's tops our IPO watch. The food and entertainment venue opens for trading today on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol PLAY. Yesterday, HubSpot was a bright spot in the sell-off. Shares of the cloud software company soared 20%. Next week brings 8 IPOs.
Mergers are shaking up drug stocks. Irish drug company Endo Pharmaceuticals is buying Auxilium for $2.6 billion. Endo is going after Auxilium's treatments for cellulite and male issues. Auxilium shares gained 9%, and Kindred Healthcare is buying home health and hospice provider Gentiva Health Services in a $1.8 billion deal. Gentiva closed up 16%.
It's over between Lego and Shell Oil Company. The toy maker will not renew a toy marketing deal that's allowed Shell to pass out Lego toy sets in 30 countries for decades. The decision follows a viral video by Greenpeace of Lego bricks being covered in oil. It's in protest of Shell's plan for offshore drilling in the Arctic that could start next year. Lego CEO said Greenpeace ought to have direct conversation with Shell and that Lego should never have become part of the Greenpeace dispute with the oil company.
Holiday travel is already on the radar. Travel insiders say today is the best day to book Thanksgiving travel plans to get the best deals. Market Watch reports prices will be around average starting October 21st and peak after November 18th. Orbit senior analyst Janine Tornatore says it will be a bustling holiday travel season.
65% of Americans said they plan to travel this holiday season, and the majority of those said they're planning to spend up to $2,500 on their holiday travel. So not just seeing family, but obviously taking some vacations there.
Tornatore warns the cost of airfare this holiday season is going up compared to last year, but that hotel prices are coming down. On the economic calendar for today, it's export, import prices, and the Treasury budget. Still to come, the guys debate the health of a sin stock in Traders Unplugged. Plus, the spice is right. An entrepreneur creating a career based on her love of food. And after the break, where in the world is Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg? The answer right after this. Mark Zuckerberg is making connections in India. The CEO of Facebook meets with India's just elected prime minister today. Zuckerberg is in India to promote Facebook's new fund for app developers. He says Facebook is committed to bringing the internet to remote areas and, of course, the Facebook website as well. Bill Muller joins us now with an entrepreneur who's capitalizing on America's love of Indian food.
On First Business News, we often talk about the entrepreneurial story. It is always interesting. The road to success, it's filled with all sorts of unexpected turns. Anupi Singhala's career is sort of a case study in this. It's followed many twists that has led her to become a cookbook author, a food blogger, and a company founder now, all wrapped up in her brand, Indian as Apple Pie. Now, you started in the broadcast biz, sort of what we're doing here, and it's taken a huge turn. When did you know what you were supposed to do with your life? That is, all of these things with food?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm still trying to figure it out, but making it up as I go. I realized when I was a reporter out on a really big story in Chicago, I came home and my young girls were not eating well. And I just thought it just hurt my heart that my mom raised us on great Indian food. She worked and she did it, but my husband was traveling all the time. He's a consultant. One of us had to kind of pull back a little bit from our careers. And I thought, let me just write this cookbook I've always wanted to write, which was Indian food in a slow cooker. And it started to just grow from there.
Yeah, and now the whole idea is that you're trying to, I don't know if this is the right term, kind of Americanize Indian food, that it's not all that exotic anymore, that it's sort of part of the mainstream experience.
It is, and I'm one of the few chefs and cookbook authors that is Indian American. I was raised in America, though I was born and spent the first 3 years of my life in India. I really know what it means to write a recipe very clearly, to really speak the way folks in America think and in the West think. Also talk about ingredients, the way it'll help you to understand them. So I just have come to a different sort of level of teaching in my books, and that's why people love to come to my classes. I teach them how to do all this.
Spices not to be feared, they're to be embraced.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give somebody, though, who's trying to figure out their path? And I mean, this is an interesting illustrative story, how it came to you. Any advice about how to find that passion?
Well, one is know what you are passionate about. Second is to be realistic and to read your market. I am constantly always asking folks through social media. It's become so much easier to do that. Do you like this? Do you not like this? There are things that I've done that have not worked. Bill, we won't talk about those today. But those go by the wayside because I figured it out. And I listen to my market constantly. And that's why I bring out new books when I know there's something that's going to be interesting to the folks out there, or new services or new products.
Anupi Singhala, Indian as Apple Pie, is that the website too?
That's it, yep.
.com.
.com.
Right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, money is running away from the stock market, but where is it going? And of Wall Street's most buzzed about stocks, which one is really worth the hype? Stay with us. Take your positions. It's time for Traders Unplugged. Joining us this morning from CME Group, Alan Eckman and Scott Shellady. Round number one, lucky 7. Of the 7 most searched stocks, Which ones are buys, sells, or holds? That list includes Alibaba and Apple.
Yeah, this is a list mainly of tech stocks, so I know where you're going to go with this. The stock I like is Ford. Ford's been trading between 14 and 18, had a big correction here lately with its exposure in Europe, but I think over the longer term, they've proven to be profitable, and they're going to get themselves out of it. So we've got an upside target about 40% higher.
Well, I happen to like Ford because Ford's been the canary in the coal mine telling us that we've got some big issues ahead. Because number one, they've shaved off their earnings by $1 to $2 billion and expected to make 6 or 7. That's a big deal, and it's because of Europe and Asia telling us that we've got a cold that we're going to catch here. The stock market's going to go down because the economy is going to suffer. Don't buy any of them.
Round 2, caged. Amazon has created smoking cages for security in warehouses to combat employee theft. What's your pleasure, Amazon or cigarette giant Altria?
I'll pick Altria because I know you're not going to pick it because it's probably bad for you, and then it's going to make everybody
stock.
sick. Yeah,
it's a
right.
stock,
So
but it does have a 5.4% yield. So if you want to be conservative over the long haul, that stock has performed very well from a dividend standpoint.
It's trading at the 20-day moving average right now. Or 50-day moving average. Sorry, it looks like if it breaks that, it could go lower. But I think if it bounces there, it's going to continue higher. That's be the one I would go with because, you know what? In this day and age, when not a lot's going your way, you got to have something to do.
And count on
smoking going to be one of them.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, right.
Round number 3, Feed Me. Bank fees are at highs. Which financial stock do you invest in now?
Well, this is my quarterly chance to remind everybody that XLF, the financial sector ETF, is a value here. The target's 26. At 22 is where we're at right now. Was the halfway point.
Tell us more about the XLF.
Halfway point of the 2007 high to the 2009 low.
Sounds like you're getting paid to say that.
We still have a long ways to go. I think banks are undervalued, and I look at this as a outperformer.
I still like JP Morgan.
On to your bonus round question. Autumn ticker time. Which ticker symbol is a fake? Is it A, FALLNX, Fallix, B, LEAF, leaf, C, FRST for frost, or D, GOYB, which stands for get out your boots?
It's got to be the first one. It had too many letters.
I'm going to go with the last one.
Of course you are.
Yes.
It's the last one, GOYB.
It's like playing with a child. It really is. Oh, there you go. Like playing with a child.
Thanks for playing with us today. First Business News continues right after this. Talk this morning, Dan Deming of Equity Armor Investments. The S&P could face a big test today. What levels could be tested here, Dan?
Well, yesterday was a significant breakdown, and we saw a lower close, and now we're looking at the 1905 area, in the S&P 500. That's the 200-day moving average, and I think now that we broke through the 100-day moving average and are significantly below there, it looks and feels like we're going to go down and test that 1905 area in the S&P 500.
There seems to be a heavy rotation in the market right now. Commodities are down, such as oil.
Yeah.
Where's that money going?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, you're seeing basically the slowdown, I think, globally is now starting to impact the perception here in the United States. And with that, you're seeing the likes of oil now trending way below, trading $84.50 a barrel, I believe, yesterday. So you're seeing some money flow back into metals right now. I mean, we did see the bond market kind of stabilize yesterday, but actually there's a little bit of interesting. It was kind of a little bit of selling pressure there late as well. So I think you're just seeing money coming out of the market, maybe going into cash somewhere. And then also we're seeing some money flow into the volatility space as well.
In the back of your mind, though, as a trader, are you thinking never underestimate the power of the people who will come into this market and buy on the dip?
Well, I mean, that certainly has proved to be the case, Angela, the last couple of years. I think the thing that might be a little bit different going into October, you've got the psychology of October playing on this market, as well as the fact that the Fed is now going to be out of the market at the end of the month. And you had a lot of dislocation or a lot of, I guess, misinformation as far as coming from the Fed over the last 24 hours. And that's why I think you're seeing this market also under having some high anxiety here with the Fed not really being clear with their message. And so if the Fed can clear up that message, sure, there's a possibility we could see this market, bounce from here. But we're still looking for a little bit lower, a test of that 1905 area for sure.
Thanks for helping us out today. Have a good trading day.
Thanks, Angela. You too.
It's time for us to close up shop for today. Coming up next week, 5 easy tips on how to talk to financial advisors, the power words that will keep you in the money. Until next time, from all of us at First Business, have a wonderful weekend.